Hey, sportsman, John Bergsman here with a Great Lakes Insider Fishing Report. And today on the phone, I'll tell you what, not my favorite guy, but one of my favorite guys, Steve Hubert from the Alpena region, Chum Bucket Charters. And Steve is kicking the snot out of great big buck Atlantic salmon, nice walleyes, lake trout. Steve, it's been a stupid last couple of weeks. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, it's the weather, every fall, as soon as the water starts cooling down, salmon move back in tight. And the mixed bag was incredible. The walleyes mixed in with big Atlantics, kings, coho, steelhead, lake trout, just about everything.
Yeah,
So,
the you name it fishing days. Well, let me tell you, when the people watching this fishing report start to see the photos of these great big buck Atlantics you're catching, I'm telling you what, I've seen a lot of fish in my life, and there's nothing like a really brightly brown colored brown trout. There's nothing like a buck Atlantic coming in tight to shore this time of year. They are one beautiful fish.
yep, getting ready to clean some. We just got off the water. We had several of them on. They busted one off, but I mean they're just a crazy fish. They're kind of like a steelhead, but they're just going to keep growing. They're the only salmon that does not die after spawn. So these fish on Lake Huron is just going to be an incredible fishery with the endless supplies of smelt for a bait fish. They're just going to keep on growing to enormous sizes. And this year we're got them yesterday into the teens. So I mean, the possibilities endless on them Atlantics.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I'm so excited to get up there by you this fall and jump in the boat. I know you've got a spot for me saved at some point, and we're going to film some late fall stuff this year. But Alpena's just been kicking down, and if they're looking to come up, I know you're super booked, but if they were going to look to come up to Alpena in their own boat, where would you say, basically right in the confines of Greater Thunder Bay? What depth shoreline or the depth break would you tell them to concentrate their efforts on?
It's highly dependent on the water temps. I mean, you're going to look for mid 50s and below for temperature wise.
Sure.
But right now we were getting them out in the 40 to 50 and even up to the 60-foot range, fairly shallow.
Sure.
You don't need downriggers, just like we did in the spring on that show this spring. But you just run in copper, short lead cores. You can do diver, some diver baits, some deep diving cranks. They'll hit those too. You don't need anything real elaborate. They're in fairly close. They're going to get closer, right up tight to the shore. So
yeah, and I heard in my last conversation with you beforehand that you've been having some real success. Dreamweaver makes a UV and a super slim, and you've been really starting to take a liking to some of those Dreamweaver lures, I heard.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I just put an order in from them. I sent them an email just a little while. It's yesterday, and hopefully they arrive because I just about lost every one of them on fish. So I'm down to my last few. So I'm looking for a fresh supply of Dreamweaver Super Slims. They're just an amazing product.
It is an awesome product, and their diver discs are awesome. The unibody construction with no lip. And Steve, I know you've got fish to clean. You're normally a lot more long-winded than that, and our customers are happy that you are. I'll take them through the recap. You and I talked about how you were catching them. Get back to your customers. Get those fish on the fillet board. And by the way, send me a nice picture today of a couple of fillets all done the way that Steve Hubert prepares them and sends them home with his customers. I'll post those on the fishing report as well.
Sounds good.
Beautiful.
I'll get the fillet in.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Hey, we are going to recap here just a couple of quick things just to help you out with how Steve fishes. I'm holding up the diver disc that Steve, it's a Dreamweaver diver. Like we talked about, there's no lip here. It's not like other products that come apart and separate. It's just a mag diver. He's running in front of this, of course, off the front end to his rod, he's running wire. And at the back end to the lure, we're running, a Dreamweaver snubber, and then maybe a 6 or 8 foot 25-pound fluorocarbon leader. I showed you the super slim. This is one of the better ones up there in the Alpena region. UV has been good. Mixed veggies, anything brightly colored. It seems like the oranges, the pinks, the blues, the greens, anything with a good UV shine to it, and a combination of those bright colors seems to catch those Lakers, Atlantics, walleye, and kings up there in the greater Alpena and Thunder Bay region. Now, how is he doing that? Listen, you heard him say you don't need riggers. Now, I always got my Trax Tex down riggers down anyway, but what I have on my boat is a setup of 5-foot rail-mounted rod holders, Trax Tex on both sides. I want a quad tree, which is a tree system with 4 rod holders off of it, and on that, I'll run my boards out. And up in Alpena, you're going to want to set those boards of 75 copper, 125 copper, 150 copper, and 200 copper. All 4 of those sets are primarily there to deal with high lines. In other words, you're not going to have those baits much deeper than 35 or 40 down in the Thunder Bay region. These are suspending lake trout, as well as Atlantics and steelhead, which do a lot of time in that 75 to 125 copper zone. So you're going to set 4 board rods or 3 board rods. Just depends on whether you've got both 75, 125, 150, and 200 coppers. If you don't have the 150 copper, a lot of guys have 75, 1 1/4, and 200. Perfectly fine. Set 3 on each side of that, and then go ahead and run a diver down on wire, trying to get down to that 35-foot depth zone. So whatever your set is, of course, if it's a 1 set, you know, you're going to have to let a bit more wire out. If it's a 2 set, you're going to have to let even more out. A 3 set's going to, of course, kick way out to the side, but you're going to have to accommodate that. On the back of the diver disc or in Precision Trolling app, they have helpful hints as to help you get very close to what you should let out. As far as speed is concerned, Steve is almost always running somewhere between 2.3 and 2.7. That's his preferred zone. As the water cools down, you might want to shade it more towards the 2.3 than the 2.7. But remember, steelhead and Atlantics are nutso fish. They want speed. Speed triggers them. And it doesn't stop the lake trout in Alpena from biting. They are such aggressive fish up there. So that's your zone. You've got the baits. You've got the diver discs. All you need is some Great Lakes fishing rods and line counter reels, and you can go experience this fishery. Hey, thanks for joining us today on the Alpena Fishing Report for Northeast Michigan on the Great Lakes Insider Fishing Report.